Members, this is good for our budget, this is good for the economy, this is good for the environment. I would respectfully urge your aye vote on this measure.
Well, for 35 years, many of us up and down the coast have worked together from the Oregon border to Mexico to keep the areas that have not been leased and drilled free of leasing and drilling, and we've not had a new lease in state waters in 40 years.
On January 28th of 1969, there was an oil spill from Platform A in the Santa Barbara Channel. 3 million gallons of oil came out of the seabed over the next 11 days and spread in a slick from Pismo to Oxnard.
Very, very bad memories of how horrible and how horrendous that was. Wave upon wave upon wave of oil was washed onto the shore, onto the beach in Santa Barbara. I remember volunteers frantically running out into the waves to try to rescue birds and other wildlife that were literally drenched in oil and could not breathe, and they suffocated.
I just want to remind this body what President Nixon said on the occasion of the 1969 oil spill. He said the Santa Barbara incident has touched the conscience of the American people, and I rise tonight, this morning, today, whatever time it is, for this body to express its conscience and vote no on this measure.
The only state in this union extracting oil from oil rigs on land that does not have a tax or a fee go to the people of that state.
And as far as the tax issue is concerned, the states that you're comparing are states that don't have personal income tax. So if you want to modify the tax system here in the state of California, I'd be willing to look at, taxing additional taxes on oil if we could eliminate the corporate tax or personal income tax. So
the state of Alaska, the #2 producer of oil, has no sales tax. Think of that for a minute. No income tax, no sales tax, has one tax, oil severance tax. So that's a little balancing that you need to do in your minds as to where you want to place your taxes.
I just like the idea of having local oil, that we don't have to worry about importing oil from very challenging terrorist-ridden areas of the world, and we don't have to worry about shipping it and the potential of shipwrecks and all the CO2 emission coming out of ships. Statistics will tell you that over the course of a 3-year period, the amount of seepage that comes naturally out of the ocean floor equals the Valdez.
We just went through a long time, very painful cuts, because we don't have the income coming to the state of California. I have taken tours of these facilities, and they are much safer, these drilling operations, than shipping oil on tankers.
I wish we had some petroleum in our county or in the Central Valley that I represent for the revenue potential. I would note that those that do surf on boards that are made with petroleum byproducts, and many of them are wearing wetsuits, which are also made out of petroleum byproducts.
The thing is you all know that I have a lot of oil in my area, and I happen to love oil wells. I am most envious of Beverly Hills Oil Well on their school campus, and I want one from my next school campus. So why can't we try as hard to make the one revenue that we Republicans figured out how to get to you? Why can't we work as hard to make it work together?
Reliance on fossil fuel instead of the development of alternative energy and building a green future and green jobs and education and health care.
First, this is about jobs. It's a big deal in California. If we get one extra job out of it, it'd be great. And I know we want green jobs, but I'm hoping that we're open to all jobs. But my goodness, this is a wonderful project. It's going to do jobs. It helps alleviate the pressure on the ocean. And it was supported by the locals, and I would support them and those environmental groups.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're looking at about 80,000 barrels of oil, roughly equal to the Santa Barbara Channel spill or the Exxon Valdez, that leaks out of the ground naturally every 2 or 3 years. Now, ladies and gentlemen, it's been 40 years since the horrific Santa Barbara Channel spill. In fact, around the world today, ladies and gentlemen, fully 2/3 of the oil in the water is due to natural seepage, and less than 1% comes from rigs around the world. And it is more efficient from a greenhouse gas perspective to extract, refine, and use the oil locally, and we get the tax money, in this case the royalty revenue, a minimum of $1.8 billion in the next 14 years. Respectfully request an aye vote.
All members vote or desire to vote. Clerk will close roll, tally the votes. Ayes 28, noes 43. The measure fails. Mr. Torico.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Hereby request unanimous consent to rescind and expunge the action on AB 23 by Mr. DeVore.
Without objection.